So today I'm going to be talking about the aftermath of Operation Valkyrie. So Operation Valkyrie, just if you don't know, was this attempt on Hitler's life on the 20th of July 1944. By the way, my birthday. Um, and it was unsuccessful. Hitler, he survived, and well, it was quite interesting what happened after. So I'm going to give you a quick summary on that. So the bomb itself exploded at 12:42 p.m. right after midday, and well, as you can probably tell, bomb explodes in a meeting room where the Führer is, and of course, panic and chaos, and well, so around. I think in total 4 people were killed, including the stenographer who was immediately killed, and 20 officers were injured. 3 of them died later on. And well, Hitler, he was injured slightly, but survived. And the guys who organized it, Stauffenberg and his aide, Werner von Hoften, I think it's how you pronounce it. Again, sorry for my pronunciations. And like I said, they generally believed that Hitler was dead, so they fled, just skipping past and kind of BSing their way through checkpoints, through guard checkpoints, because the news hadn't gotten to them yet. They could kind of just escape because they generally thought Hitler was dead. So, and they escaped the whole Wolfschanz complex, which was a Wolf Slayer, Wolf Slayer? No. Yeah. I think it's the Wolf Slayer. Anyway, ignore me. I think I'm getting mixed up with something. Maybe I'm not. Anyway, not important. So they escaped where Hitler was. But like I said, Hitler, he was, for the most part, completely fine. He and a lot of Anyway, Hitler and a lot of other people had managed to seek cover under a table, and they had been shielded. They had a few manuscripts, and Hitler burst one eardrum, but for the most part, he was fine. His trousers were not; they were broken, and later on, in terms of propaganda, Goebbels managed to turn this around and show how the Führer had survived. Just basically saying how people had some generals had attempted to kill Hitler, but he had fallen through, and his trousers demonstrate that. I don't know. It kind of worked. But again, it's in July 1944. The war was pretty much lost. In less than a year, all top Nazis would be dead. So, yeah. Well, of course, news isn't as immediate as it is today. Back then, keep in mind this was 1940s and in the middle of a war. Well, news go around quite slowly. Of course, anything happening to Hitler would go around quite quickly, but it wasn't instantaneous. So in Berlin, shortly after it happened, and in Berlin, the rest of Germany, and really the rest of the world, but mainly Germany, there were conflicting reports on what had actually happened, and if Hitler was alive, or Hitler was dead, or whatever. Some speculated that Hitler had been killed during the explosion. Some said he was fine. Well, you can imagine. Well, the Reserve Army, which was... because this whole thing was... the Operation Valkyrie was kind of a plot to overthrow Hitler, and instill like the Reserve Army and whatever. Kind of a Russian Revolution deal. Not exactly, but that idea. Just throwing out Hitler and doing a more military... I mean, I haven't read that much on the actual operation. I read more about the aftermath. But I think, from what I gather, it's, like I said, a Russian Revolution kind of style, replacing killing Hitler and installing a military government who was capable of at least not throwing Germany into disaster. So, the Reserve Army, they started arresting high-ranking Nazi leadership. So, I've read this somewhere, and I think it's true, but again, this may be wrong. Speer and Goebbels, they were in propaganda building, like the ministry building, and they were meeting about the war, I think it was, and suddenly outside the building they were surrounded by troops. They had kind of arrested them, and they didn't even know if the troops were hostile, they were friendly, they were protecting them, or they were trying to kill them. They were kind of arresting them, really. And they blocked off all communications except this one phone that Goebbels had in his office. And with this phone, well, cell phone, Goebbels managed to communicate with Hitler and kind of get an idea of what was going on. So, I guess in Berlin, not only Goebbels and Speer, but other high-ranking Nazis there, they were arrested by the Reserve Army. But, I mean, the Reserve Army was also, it wasn't only the communication of Germany as a whole. The Reserve Army, they weren't well communicated, so that kind of screwed them over, yeah. And then, as soon as Goebbels got a hold of Hitler, he could arrange messages on the radio and other sources stating that Hitler was alive. I think at one point, Hitler did an actual broadcast, which was one of his last, if not the last broadcast, because he had not been on the radio for quite a long time, considering, they were in the middle of the Second World War. And yeah, well, the second Hitler came on the radio, the plan was thrown away, because the guy was alive, they had completely failed. So, the General Friedrich Fromm, he convened this court-martial thing, impromptu court-martial, and sentenced anyone involved in the actual plot to death. This guy involved in the plot, Ludwig Beck, he committed suicide. Committed suicide. And Stauffenberg, von Hoften, Ulbricht, and another officer named Albrecht Merz von Kernheim, they were all executed by this firing squad, kind of makeshift firing squad, not an actual one, near the courtyard of Benzlerbrock, which I have now forgotten what it is actually. Then Stauffenberg's brother, I think got even worse than Stauffenberg himself. He literally was slowly strangled at Plötzensee prison in Berlin. And the whole thing was filmed on Hitler's orders for further distribution. I mean, the actual guy involved in the plotting and actually planting the bomb there, he got a firing squad execution. This guy got a slow stranglement, a recorded one too. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the aftermath of the Valkyrie plot, Operation Valkyrie. Whatever, that is it. It kind of failed, and the Reserve Army, the second they heard a rumor, even they heard official confirmation, I get it, but they just heard a rumor and they started moving everything. And the worst mistake was leaving Goebbels with that phone. They had taken that phone away, that telephone away. He probably wouldn't have been able to communicate with. He wouldn't have been able to communicate with Hitler, and who knows, maybe Goebbels and Speer would have given in. I doubt it, but who knows. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I have nothing else to say. So yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope you found it interesting. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.